Good evening. Hello. My name is Megan from Painting with Megan. How's everybody doing today? Or should I say tonight? Just gonna wait for some more people. Hi, Leslie. I'm so excited. I have a mystery painting class for you guys tonight. So I'm so excited to share it. So I'll just give some couple more minutes for people to pop in and find me. And while I'm waiting, I will go over the colors. So I'm using acrylic paints tonight. I have all the primary colors and then white plus black. So the primary colors are red and blue and yellow. Okay, and as you can see, I'm using Liquitex Basics brand. Love this brand. It's not too thick, not too thin. And then I have white and black. That's the colors for today. And then I have a paper plate. I have a cup of water. I have 2 brushes here and a sponge. Let me show you that. So I have kind of just like, this is called a Filbert brush. So it's rounded edge. You could also use a flat, which is literally just straight and flat. This is just another version of a Filbert. So something a little bit smaller and something a little bit larger is great. Really any good variety of brushes is perfectly fine. And then this is the type of sponge that I have. This is called a C sponge. You can buy it from Walmart, or I'm sure any art supply store. Or you can just use like a regular sponge, or sometimes people have used paper towel. And you'll see why later on. So that is the materials for this evening. So I am ready to show you. Okay, here it is. This is what we're painting tonight. I call it Northern Lights. For Canada, Canada Day is coming up. And I thought, what not better way to celebrate than to paint the Northern Lights. If you're not from Canada, like I am, clearly, this is also great because it's just literally beautiful, beautiful lights. Or it also kind of looks like a galaxy. So just having fun here playing in the sky. It's a blending technique that I will show you how to do up here. And then down here is just dark. So it's just black. So make sure you have a fair bit of black here. And then that way it's like that nice, like this is like way out somewhere in a field. And then maybe you found this like beautiful clearing. And then you're looking up into the sky and that's what you see. So that's kind of like what I was envisioning as I was painting this as well. So super, super excited. And I had put on the my mystery advertisement. You can use an 11 by 14. I also meant to put you can use a 12 by 12, but any size canvas is perfectly fine, or like paper, just anything you have. This here is a 14 by 14, my original, but behind it I'm going to do a 12 by 12. So that's what I have for tonight. So I have a 12 by 12 canvas, and then this is the painting that I will be teaching. So I'm going to put that just up on my wall over here. If it can stay. Yes, you can kind of see it. Help us play around there. Okay, so hope my lighting and sound is great for you guys. I'll just turn that slightly. All right. So we're gonna get started. So what we're gonna do first is we'll get out your paint palette. So mine's just a fancy old paper plate. And I'm going to get out my white. So white to start. So I'm putting out a fair bit of white here. All right, and then I'm going to get my larger brush and I'm going to dip it in water and tap off any excess water here and just tap it on my napkin. And then I'm dipping in white. So as we go, just let me know where you are at. If you need any further instructions, give me a heart or thumbs up as we go along so I know that you're ready. And as well, if you're watching the replay, feel free to message me at any time. And again, I'm Megan. My name is Megan Mike, and I'm from Painting with Megan. So I am the painter of Painting with Megan. Okay, so we're going to cover this whole thing in white just to warm up our hands. So you can go back and forth. You can go up and down. At this point, it does not matter. We're just priming the canvas here. And this will help us later on for that beautiful blending in the sky. And it helps give the paint somewhere to set into. I just find that whenever I have something underneath, any undercoat, it just really makes a huge difference in my art. Like, it makes the painting look bolder and it just works better for me. So that's why I always paint. And I know, probably thinking I'm crazy because I'm painting a white canvas white, but trust me, it works. So I'm just going back and forth here. Like I said, you can go up and down because at this point it does not matter. I am getting it on there quite thickly just because with the blending in the sky, you'll want it to be wet for a longer period of time so then you can work with it a little bit easier. And let me know, is it your first time painting tonight? Like, ever? Maybe you're new, maybe you're not, but this painting is great for anybody. I'm just gonna get this whole painting, this whole canvas with white. Oh. There we go. So acrylics, they do like to dry fast, so we'll see if it actually stays wet for us, but either way, it's still good to have something underneath. So don't worry about cleaning this brush off. We're going to start with the lighter color in the middle, which is yellow. And then we're going to let it expand outwards and become a little bit darker as we go along. We'll go from like light to darks. Oh, you've done a couple with me. Oh, I'm so happy you're back. I was going to say, I do recognize the name. I wish I could see and meet people for real. Sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to get out yellow next. I'll put yellow here. So I just have the primary yellow. Okay, so we're going to pick the center point of our canvas here. So mine would be here in the center. So once you find the center point of your size canvas, then I'm just going to go down just a tad. So center and then go down. It's going to be about here where the yellow area starts. Hi. Okay, so I'm just, like I said, I didn't clean my brush off. And I'm just dipping into some yellow now. Just tapping that. Okay. So now we're just going to let our brushes be free and wild here, and let these lights and colors just move around wherever they want to go. So basically, I'll just show you this so you can kind of tell what I'm talking about. There is like a dip here almost. So you can kind of see, let me back up here. So you can kind of see that there's like kind of like a little dip here, like a upside down triangular shape here. So that's why we have the yellow sitting up just a little bit there, and then underneath can have some green, just so you know, and then like pinks above that. But as you see, I was very loose with the color, so we're just gonna like put it on, and we're just going to spread it around and let it kind of just do its thing. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so center point and then a little bit down. I'm just going to tap. Okay, that's the spot where it is. And now I'm thinking of going up towards these corners. So I'm thinking of going up a little bit here. So I'm going to be pushing and turning my brush. And I'm just going to move towards these corner areas and creating that upside down triangular look. So it kind of looks like a boomerang right now. And then, so like I said, I just tapped once. And then because that paint is already on there, you should be able to take that and just spin it around and let it spread out until it's like a little bit more blended in. Let that white underneath lighten the yellow a bit. Okay, so as we go, I'm gonna try not to go like too fast, but with blending, you kind of just have to move a little bit faster because the acrylics like to dry and then it doesn't work as good if it's like drying on you. So just a little FYI, maybe use a little water in the paint too, and that'll help keep it a little bit more wet. But next what we're gonna do is we're going to get out the blue. We'll start with the green underneath and then we'll make our way with lighter colors on top. I think that'll be a good point. So I got my primary blue here. Just putting that out on my palette. I didn't clean the brush because we're going to be making green. So to make green is blue plus yellow. So I'm just going to scoop some yellow here towards the blue. And then about halfway in this blue, I'll just tap that in there and just mix it around and just see if you get a color. Like I'm looking for like a brighter green. But if there's a color or shade of green that you get that you like, then that's awesome. Doesn't have to be exact, just some sort of nice lighter green. Okay. Once you have a desired green, you're going to take this and you're going to go right underneath. So now we're going to just take that over here, the brush, and we're going to start to twirl it around. You can see I'm kind of pushing. And we're just twirling it around and we're going right on the edge of the yellow. Okay, and I'm just following it upwards. So sometimes I turn my brush, by the way, because the paint will be here and you're using that up. But when I flip it over, you're going to have fresh paint over there. So if I notice my paint starting to run out, instead of getting more, I just flip my brush over. Okay, you can hear that. As you can tell, I'm pushing that in, just like so. And I'm going to go up to about here. So I'm going to go off the edge with this green here. Alright, so how's that going so far? Don't forget to paint the sides too if you're doing that. I always forget, so. But I remembered this time. If you find yours is like too wet as well, you can always just get another brush out and just twirl it around. And that should help if that situation is happening for you. Okay, so the next we're going to do is we're going to not clean the brush again. And we're just going to dip into blue now. Okay, just blue. And I'm going to go underneath. And now what we're going to do is we'll mark out where the bottom of the sky is. So I'm just going to make right underneath this point where it ends. I'm going to make a straight blue line here. It turns bluish green. That's cool. Okay, because all down here is going to be black. And above, there's going to be trees here. And then this is all the sky. So there's a lot more sky than there is the bottom. Okay, so once you have that line there, then you're going to just take that, whatever blue's on there, and you're going to, again, twirl and push up into the green here, and you're going to blend those beautiful colors together. So I'm getting to the point where I can tell my paint starting to fade over here. So I just flip my brush over, and then I continue spinning and blending. This is how I love to make skies and clouds. So once you get the hang of this, this is a great technique for that. And down here, you can blend in this line if you wanted to. Like I said, down here is black, so it doesn't even matter what this spot looks like. And then don't forget those sides. There we go. And let me know if you have any questions. So far it looks like mountains with the sun. Cool, cool. All right, now you can put this brush in the water. Okay. So let me know where you are. Next, you'll need a sponge. And we're going to put that into the water and we're going to wring it out and just get out as much water as you can. And you just want it to be a little bit damp. So I'll just get my sponge in there. Yeah. My jar is way too small for my hand. Thank you all for joining me tonight. I know some of us are in different time zones, so I say tonight, but it could be day for you. Okay, so I wringed out my sponge, and we're going to use this sponge to help finalize and blend. So this is still a little bit wet, which is great. So now what I'm doing, we've twirled it around with the brush, but now I'm just going to start to tap on any of the lines that you see. So anywhere that you can tell where there's like these differences between the colors, this is going to be your friend to help you. Just tap there, and you can see the difference by me just tapping my sponge here. It really helps tie it together. And you can even twirl the sponge around if you wanted. Oh, that's really cool. Flip the sponge over if you can when you get to the different color between the yellow and the light green, just so you don't end up getting too much green into the yellow. It's okay if there is, just so you don't get a lot. Okay, and you can tap that or twirl it, whatever feels good for you and what's working best for your paint and your painting. But this just helps to tie it together very nicely. And it helps soften it too. Good old sponge. I'm not going to worry about up here. So as we do a couple of colors, this is the process that we'll do afterwards to help soften and blend it in and create that northern light type galaxy sky. Abstract, beautiful sky. So put that sponge in the water and just wring it out so then it's ready for the next colors. And your water's probably gonna get kind of gross, so you can change it if you need to. Okay. Alright, so I'm wringing that sponge out. And I'm just putting it onto the side for later so it's all cleaned off and ready for as we get into the other colors. So the other colors I will be applying to the sky are pink, purple, and blue. So what we're going to need is red and white. We're going to make some pink. So I got my red. So I'm not putting a lot just because it does go quite a ways. And you can always add more paint to your palette if you need to versus taking it away. Okay, and then make sure you have that brush cleared right off. And I'm going to be using the large one, sorry. So the large brush. Okay, and I'm just drying mine a little bit because it was a little bit wet. Alright, so we got pink. So I'm going to mix my white and the red. So I'm just tapping a little bit of red. I'm going for more of a lighter pink, so I'm just going to add a little red to my white and see what kind of color I get. If you want a darker pink, just have more red. It's really all up to you. I'm gonna go for that color. It's kind of like a nice medium. Okay, so I got the pink on my brush. I'm just going to tap on my plate just a little bit of it off because I feel like it's just too thick. It'll be hard to spread around. Okay, so I'm taking that pink now and I'm just going to start spinning it around on a little bit on the yellow. So you're gonna pick up like a little bit of a peach tone, which is awesome, or maybe even a little bit of orange. And you're just going to start to spread that around, just following that dip. But this time, we're gonna go upwards a bit. So now you can kind of go up a little bit more and start to give it a different change. So when I mean up, I kind of envisioned like a C. So I was here at that kind of dip point, the bottom of that triangle here. But then I went upwards like a C here. I kind of made this cool like dip. Okay, I'm just spreading that around. And you can put the pink wherever you like. I'm going to fill in all of this space. I'm gonna pink right here. If there's ever too much of a color, you can always put something on top of it later if you didn't like how much there was of something. So there we go. And I'm gonna grow this area just a bit. Oh yeah. Okay, so that's a lot of pink. But I'm gonna put in some purples and blues as well as we go along. So there we go. So yes, as you've seen, I'm still twirling and pushing and just creating that blended technique. The sponge is always there for you if you need to blend, or you can even, sometimes I just use my finger and just tap some of those spots. So I get funky with this, guys. Okay, so purple, let's add in some purple up here. So we have pink already. Let's add a little blue to it. So I'm just gonna take this blue, like a little dot of blue. I'm gonna mix that in there, see what I get. Okay, I'm adding red to it because it did not. So yes, red and blue. So I'm gonna say it's a little more red than it is blue. So just a little dot of blue and more red, and you create like a nice purple tone. So this one turned more pink, so I'm just gonna get a little dot of blue. Let's get that a little darker. There we go. And if you have just purple, feel free. Sometimes purple can be tricky to make. Yeah, I like this one. So it's kind of like a happy medium between blue and red. All right, so with my purple, I'm going to take this and go into the pink. So now I'm just going to start to, this is very random. I just chose a spot. So I kind of imagined it going towards the pink, like into the pink center here, just so it's not as pinky. And then all around it, I'm just spinning and circling. There we go. I'm gonna go up a little bit over here. There we go. And then you can even put the purple in other random spots, like where it doesn't attach. Like, so I just put some purple up here. You can just really play around with this. Like, just have fun. Let your brush go. Clouds and everything in the sky is so free and airy that it really, there's no right or wrong to place this. So I'm going to put a little bit of purple down in this space here where my green and my pink are, just to add a little bit of some variation. And I'm just going to twirl and push that around. There we go. And I forgot all about the sides again. There we go. So I'll start with this. I'll see how my purple is when I apply my blue next. And then from there we can evaluate and see, okay, do I want more pink? Do I want more purple? Do I need more blue? Etc. So now for the remaining spaces, I'm not going to clean the brush. Unless your brush is very mucky and like wet, then clean it. But otherwise, I'm just dipping into blue here. This time I'm going to add a little bit of black to my blue, just to darken it, because up here it's a lot further away, so it'll be a little bit darker. So when I mean a little bit of black, like a dot, because black is very bold. So just take a little dot of black and add it to your blue. Just go for a nice dark blue here. So it looks black, but it's a dark blue. Just kind of the lighting there. Oh yeah, I can see that. Okay, so now once you have a darker blue, then you can start applying it. You can just put it at the top to begin, and you're gonna blend that in, just like so. Alright, that's a pretty blue. Flipping over my brush. Look at that difference. And I'll get all the little sides up here. Okay, and you can go on top of another color. And like I said, if we end up losing it, we can put it back again. With skies like these, sometimes they take a little more layering. So, actually I'm going to completely take this out. Sometimes as I do this, I just take something out. So I didn't like that there anymore, so I took it out. And it turned a little purpley over there, so that's cool. There we go. So I'm just getting in all the areas where there is no other color. And I'm going into a space where the paint already is and going a little bit on top of it to blend it in. Because if you just went around the color, then it's not going to, it'll just look like it's popping out. So I am going to go over the pink and the purple up here just with the blue. Just because these colors can be trickier to blend, but when we go over them, it'll like tie in together. So. And then I'm just going over here and getting some blue in there, going down a little bit. There. And even if you add a little water, sometimes that helps. Maybe add a little water. So I just kind of dipped in the water, and then anywhere where it wasn't really moving, just added a little bit of water. There we go. Okay, so yeah, it's definitely one layer, and then we're gonna pop out the pink and pop out the blue. I mean, not blue, the purple a little bit more too. So I'm just going to go kind of cut down into this pink a little bit. Start to give the sky a different kind of shape. So all of ours are going to look so different. So I seen here that I decided I wanted to kind of go down towards the center point again and make my clouds or lights just kind of form towards this area. That's kind of the idea I was thinking. But as you do this, you may have something going on that you really like, and you don't have to worry about aiming towards the center. Okay, so I'm kind of putting a little bit of blue back on the purple, only because I'm just going to add purple on top. So I'm just going to get out my red and mix it into my blue I already have. And I'll get some purple in there. So I just added it to the dark blue. Okay, so now I'm going to freshen up purple. So let me know if you have all the blue on there. And then we can use this sponge on the next step to tie it together too. once we brighten up purple and pink. I mean, you might not need to, but for me, I know I do. I need to do that. So I'm just gonna go over here and just start to tap some of my purple and start to bring that to life. There we go. So just putting some purple over there. And then I'm going to do a little anywhere I see my purple. And purple down here. A little bit of blue. But really, I'm not really having any particular area where I'm going. It's very random and self-guided with this type of sky because it's just very free-flowing. There we go. So I'm just adding a little purple up here too. And then I want to brighten up the pink. Before I do the pink, I'm just going to use my sponge and just kind of tap some of my purple and blue areas just before they do get too dry. There we go. And it's cool because underneath you might start to see a little bit of white come through, but it's like, if anything, it adds in more kind of like stars in the background type thing. But if it ends up taking off too much, then that just means it's too wet. So then you could just put that color back if it happened to come off. It's funny how like acrylics, like when you don't want them to dry fast, then they do. And then if you don't, then they won't. There we go. So I just lost a little bit there. So just applied that. So I'm going to work on the pink while that kind of dries a bit more before I do the sponging. Apparently it's just too wet. So I just got to make some pink again. So I'm just going to get out my red and white to do that. Okay, so I got my pink here. Now I'm going to brighten up that pink. So I'm just going to kind of focus down here. And you can take that pink and you can bring it into the sky a little bit. Yeah. This pink I made with a little more red, and it happens to work better with the colors versus lighter. So whenever I get up into other colors, I just start to swirl and push like I've been doing this time. And it just helps to soften it on the edges, just like so. And the sponge also works for that too. So it's very, very random. I might even bring a little bit of my pink just down a little bit, kind of over here, just to show the difference, like, so it's not just purple to like green and yellow, just to soften it a little bit on the end. You might need that and you might not, but it just will help soften that transition. between the two colors. So how is that going for you? There. Now, like when I have this pink color, I start to just twirl upwards even into the other colors when there's barely any paint left. And it just helps to blend any other areas. And you can use the sponge for that too if you wanted, if that worked for you. And it just helps to soften any of the colors. So if I was using the sponge, just make sure it is just a little bit damp, not wet, and just kind of tap lightly on the in-between spots. There we go. You might need to put your blue back in there. Depends on what colors dry. Sometimes when they dry, you can see through them again. Like I can see a little bit through my blues up here, so I will apply blue again. So it's kind of like the game of mixing until it's all kind of tied together. I'm just going to put a little bit of blue. Still a little wet up here, actually. So whenever it's too wet, it will just, unfortunately, you put color on and it just comes right off. So that can be frustrating, right? So if it's still wet, then you might have to wait a bit. And maybe I'll try a little bit down here. See if it works better down here. Yeah. There we go. So I'm just putting some of that blue back. And anywhere you can tell a big difference between color, just use a sponge and just helps you to blend it together and soften it. Just by a couple taps, just can make a huge difference. It's amazing what the sponge can do. So I will go back up to this part when it is dry. But like I said, mine is too wet to apply that black and blue at that point for me. So I'll be working on the black areas while I wait for that to dry a little bit more. Yeah, because it's just too wet up there. Okay, so you're just going to need some black now. Just putting the brush in the water and I'm not using. You can put the sponge in too if you're done with it. There we go. Sometimes, like I said, I just use my finger. So now we have black. So I'm just putting a fair bit of black out because down here is all black and then there's going to be trees coming up into this area. So make sure that you are good with it, that you have the areas that you need blended. I was just going to show you another thing that could work too. If you didn't have a sponge or if the sponge wasn't working, you could just use a cleaned off, just damp brush. And what you can do is anywhere between the colors, you can just push along into those areas. And it just, again, helps to soften the spaces. So that's kind of a little blending trick as well. There we go. So yeah, these are the stubborn spots for me. You might have a couple. It's just funny how that happens sometimes. I like when things like this happen though, because then I can show you. Okay. So I'm going to get out that large brush still and just, you have it cleaned off. So now I'm going to dip into just black, and I'm going to apply the black right underneath now. So my sky, you can make it so if you want to cut into the color you can, or you can make it right underneath. So I'm just going to make it right underneath just so we don't cover up that sky too much. And I'm just going to go back and forth with this black from this point all the way down to the bottom. And what I'm thinking is here is just like field that you just can't see. It's just so bright in the sky that down here is just so dark. There we go, get my sides. So just back and forth. And then there'll be trees coming up. I can't believe it's Thursday already. I'm getting the sides. And then what we'll need after this is a smaller brush to make the trees. And we will also be putting little stars in the sky too. Just want it to dry a little bit more. Just gonna grab a drink of my water. Okay. So I'll put that large brush in the water. Now I have a smaller brush here. So it's a smaller Filbert. Just anything smaller to help you make trees. You can practice on your plate somewhere else, or a piece of paper if you want to, before you apply the trees. If you feel like that would be good for you. But otherwise I will be showing you how to make them, of course. So I kind of am... I'm going to take this little brush and I'm just going to kind of curve off. So now it's not just straight, there's a little bit of a hill here and here. It's a little bit of a curve now. And now our beautiful trees are going to grow. So I'm going to make multiple of them going all across. And they're going to be, some are going to be taller and smaller. And up here, even though I'm going to fix these blue spots that just wouldn't cover for me, it's okay because my trees aren't going to reach up there. So just make sure that this is good. If you have questions about it or etc., just let me know. And then we're going to do the trees. And once the trees are there, then it's, obviously you won't be able to go to the background again. So these trees are in the foreground. So now, to make the trees, you just make a line. Okay, you just make a line there for the height of the tree. Okay, so that's the height of mine. I take the side of my brush and I give it a tap at the top so it looks like bushy. Let me bring that closer so you can see that. So the top of it, I just did a little tap like so. So it just looks a little bushy. And always the top of like a pine tree. These are the particular trees that I'm making. They're a little bit pointier at the top. So I'm just getting the bottom side underneath here. Well, I see that side. Okay. So I have black, and then, so now I'm going to turn my brush so it's straight and flat. So not this way, not straight up, but flat. Okay, and then I'm going to start to dab back and forth these like kind of zigzagged pine trees. So just go back and forth. And I just think of like a zigzag, like X or like a Z, you know, like back and forth. And I just keep going all the way down. You can go back and forth, or you can do a zigzag. And sometimes I keep those little pine needles close together. Sometimes I spread them out a little bit. And at the bottom, I usually make it a little bit thicker. So I just fill in the area a little more because I just find that it'll help support the tree better if it were more realistic. So there's 1 out of probably 10. Whatever will fit. This is kind of your choice too. So I love this because it's like self-guided yet your choice. Like it's your choice and it's self-guided, I mean. But it's also like I'm here to just kind of show you techniques and help you be more open and free and expressive in the art, especially with the sky there. It's quite random. So there's the tree up close there. And then yeah, if you want it thicker, you just tap in between the spots that are showing. And I always just make it thicker at the bottom. And just make sure up here is thinner, thicker. So it balances out. Okay, and I'm gonna do another one of those. So maybe this time I'll make one a little bit shorter than this one. So you can make them close or separate, like further away. I'll just make one kind of growing right here. Make a little baby. Okay, once I made my line, I turn my brush from flat to straight. And I give a tap at the top for my little bushy area. And then I turn my brush again so it's flat. And that's when I go tapping across. Tap, tap, tap. Happy little taps. Don't overthink this. I mean, try your best. I know it's easier said than done, right? Just tap back and forth and let the brush do the work for you. And just literally just tap away. That's all I can say. So there's a smaller tree. And if you're comfortable with these trees and you want to keep going along, you go for it. I'm just going to see if up here is dry yet. Oh my goodness, it's like not drying up here. Outside is. I'm just adding my little bit of blue, dark blue and black again because it was almost dry for me to add, except for there apparently. There you go. Yeah, those spots are super stubborn. It's so weird. I'll wait again. Okay, so then I'm gonna go to some more trees. So maybe now I'll just make one even smaller and I'll just give a little tap as if this one is just growing. If you need more shape to them, you can always grow it taller or just make one side of it a little more uneven, and it will help balance it out. You can make some go a little like sideways too. So like say I wanted a tree that just went a little bit on an angle, you can do that. And you can go ahead and like, we can like mark out where our trees are. So maybe I'll make one kind of here, like I have one on the angle, but then I'm gonna make one kind of going straight up into that pink area. And you can make one like as tall as you want. Like if you want one to go right off this canvas, go for it. I'm just here to show you how to do the tree, and then you can make it as many or as little or as tall or as small as you want them to be. So So I'll just do this just so you get a general idea of where my trees are going to be and what kind of heights they are. So, and then sometimes, like I said, I make some on a little bit of an angle just to add some variety in there. And I'll make one go way up. Maybe I'll go up there. Yeah. Maybe there. So as you can see, I'm giving them variety. Some are tall, some are a little shorter. Some can be the same height right beside each other, and that's okay too. As long as there's just different things going on overall, then you're all good. So let's see, make one up here. And I'll go on an angle. Or maybe one straight there to end it off on this side. So that's kind of the idea of the trees. So I just made like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of them, 12, 13, 14 trees in total. But again, it does not have to be exact. And I'm using a 12 by 12, so maybe yours is different sized. Or maybe some of your trees just got thicker. That's okay too. Like some trees can be thicker or thinner too. Like trees are all so different outside. I always just think of nature, and nature is just a perfect imperfection, right? So lovely. And once you've marked those out, then you can use the technique for the tops. So you can do all the tops at once if you like. So you can turn the brush straight up and you just give a little tap in the tops. Maybe 2 taps, just so it doesn't look like a circle, but just something to show it's bushy. Maybe right now they look like gigantic flowers. This could be cool too. Like you could do this painting as flowers. Like these could be flowers, but it'd be a different viewpoint where you're looking up and there's like a field of flowers and then at the sky. You could always do that too. Okay, so once I've tapped all the tops, then I'll turn my brush straight and flat again, and I'll just start to tap along. And I basically just go back and forth. Just like so. But I also keep the bottoms thicker, like I was saying. And I do keep my dabs pretty close to each other, but not always. And trees can touch, they can overlap, so that's okay too. I'm gonna make this one a little thicker, so I just go back down. As you see, I'm just going back and forth in between. So if I were just to draw it, I would literally just be doing this. So you don't have to do that. I'm just showing you what I'm doing, but with dabbing instead. But I just dab. And then I also dab the center. So these ones are a little more spaced out than I normally do, but I dab along the line, and I also tap in between. And you can also do the zigzag one where you have something like this, where it's like Z's. And then you could tap those too. Just so you can see a little more of what I'm talking about. Maybe you have the hang of it. Maybe you don't. If you do need clarification or me to show you another way, I'm here for you. Just let me know. I know I can't be there beside you, but I'm here regardless. So I'll just cover these lines before they do dry, because once they dry, then you can kind of see through them, and then it just doesn't look as good. So these ones are nice thick trees over here. Full trees. So if these ones are more full, I might make these ones around it a little more open, like these ones, just to add some balance. Thank you. This little tree is hiding back there. So, yep, he's just kind of back there in the background. So now these ones I'm probably going to leave a little more open, like I was saying, just because those other ones around it are thicker. And I like to just balance things out a little bit. But if you want them all thick, there's nothing wrong with that either. So I've done paintings where they've all been thick trees. So. This one hiding. Yep, this one will just kind of look like it's growing off the side of it, but it's basically hidden. If you ever want to make anything taller, go ahead and do that just by tapping it up higher. So I just decided to make this one a little bit taller. There. Sometimes I pre-plan where my trees are and sometimes I don't. And at the bottoms, like if there's an in-between space, you can always just tap the bottom and it can create the illusion of bushes at the bottom as well. If you wanted to fill something. Or you can make little grasses. But I'm just tapping along, going across here. Letting the brush do the work for me. Does anyone have any questions? You might need a second coat down here, black. You can assess that situation if you are done the trees. If you're not, that's cool too. And one more tree to go. Right up here. This one I'll make nice and tall and straight over here. What kind of music do you guys like to paint to when you're painting or crafting or arting? Or do you like silence? For me, it depends on my mood. Sometimes I like no sound. Sometimes I like just music that doesn't have words. Sometimes I like rock and roll or country. Just depends. Okay, so there's the trees there that I have. So if you need any filler space, if you want it to be more filled in, make another tree there. Or like I said, just do a little bit of bushes. So it's so cute because I just have this one tiny little tree. It looks cute. But if I didn't like the tiny tree, right, I could always grow it taller. But you know what? I like it because it's like a little bit unique there. And then, yeah, like I said, you can touch up the bottom if you need to. If it needs another coat of black, just check your sides out. See if the sides need to be painted. Sorry, I'm blocking you guys. Okay. I just decided to grow a tiny one kind of on the edge here. There. It's kind of hard to stop tapping these trees, I find. So I always kind of go along the bottoms and just tap to fill in anything there, just so it looks like they are on the ground. They're not floating. And then, yeah, this is just a really dark field. If you didn't want it just to be black down there, you could totally add like these colors, but in like underneath, and it could be a reflection of the sky. But like I said in the beginning, if you missed that, I was imagining standing in a field and looking up into the sky. So it's very dark down there. So we just have a couple little stars to add in if you would like. And then that would be all the steps for tonight. So I'm just going to get out some white. And just find a brush that's small. Particularly if the brush has a tiny end to it. I'll show you what I mean. So if you have a brush that's small, but you flip it upside down, I like to use this end of the brush for the stars. And some people do splattering. I'm not gonna do that because I have like my laptop there, but some people like to do that. It's just trickier because you have other stuff here and you could get on your trees. So you can go ahead and make as many stars as you want. I'm just checking. So you just start to dab with the back of the brush. I'm going to do that in just a moment. I'm just checking this. Oh, that's black. Just checking. Now it's dry, but I put black on there by accident, as you can see. Those are my little stubborn spots tonight, apparently. Put that sponge in the water if you're done with it, because it'll dry out and be really hard to clean. Okay, so just have my blue here. And just... So yeah, it's going to be like a really dark cloud, but that's okay. At least it's covering now. So that's good. Just because once I put stars on here, I'm not going to be able to fix that spot. So that's why I'm doing this, just so you know. Yeah, that works out good anyways. There, definitely covered it a little bit better. And I'm just drying off that brush, the big brush. And then, because I have applied color here, I'm just using that damp brush that I've dried off a bit. And I'm just smoothing those transition spots between the colors. Just so they don't stand out too much. Or just use your finger because the brush wasn't doing it for me. There. Okay, so yeah, that looks better now. And then I just use the back of that brush and I just start to tap in little stars. So you can make clusters, kind of like these in some spots. Or you can make just individual stars. But I like to just kind of do clusters. And I just make sure like I don't have too much white on at once because then it's like really bold. And if it gets super bold on you, just take your finger and just tap it. Like you could even go back and tap all of these ones and it just makes a difference. It just blends them in a little bit better and it makes it look more starry versus potentially snowy. We don't want snow. Maybe where you live, you don't have snow. That'd be awesome. But here in Canada, we get snow. So yeah, basically just do a couple like little star clusters. But then take your finger and just tap and blend them in a little bit. And it just creates that more of that starry look. So yeah, and you can make them all close together, or you can just have a couple, or you don't have to have any at all. So it's totally your choice, totally optional. Don't mind me, I worked all day. You know, after a while you lose your words. So. There you go. kind of like clustering them more in this darker area. But then as I get down into like the lighter areas, I am just putting a couple like that are just spread out. Because up here is further away, and then down here is more close up. So I'm just putting a couple of them just to show that there's stars there. But up here I have them a lot closer together. And then, like I said, too bright, do a dab. If you end up getting a gigantic dot like what happened to me, find that color. You might even have it on your palette still and just put it back on top. Looks like my music disappeared. Yeah, so I didn't, that star just, you did get too bold, so I just took my purple that I had still out, and I just put it back on top. And anytime I put color in the sky, you always have to blend it in. So just, if you end up covering your star, this is what you do. You just put the color back, and then you just take that clean brush and just move it around just so it's not all in the one area. Just be very careful because your trees are there if you need to do that. There we go. I try to do it lightly because I find if I push too hard, then I end up getting like a white chunk. So there we go. It seems to work good when I tap up here. There we go. I'm gonna start there. There. So yeah, I mostly put them all along the top and then just a couple kind of throughout in the center area and the other brighter colors. Yes, and then you could do like a shooting star. You could also just kind of do like a couple like little, you could do little zigzaggy, like kind of, you know, like a shooting star. Move it around a bit. But that can be tricky because then you might end up getting something you don't like. And that could be dangerous at this point because you have all your other stuff on there. So maybe if you feel like you are really liking it, then don't do a shooting star too big or something, because then you end up like, because I put one there by accident and it just got a little too much for me. But that was just an idea, unless you want one. And like I said, this is your painting, so there we go. I'm just using my brush and kind of just softening the stars. You can even just tap on the stars too, instead of your finger. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna stop touching it with stars because I feel like then I'll get a big star and then I have to put the color back. And like I said, it can be a little dangerous when you got the trees here because they're wet and you don't want to get black in that bright area. So okay, so yeah, that's it. That's all I have for you guys tonight. I can post this photo here as a reference in the comments below as well for you if you're watching it on replay. And yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on tonight, tuning in. If you don't know about my page, it's called Painting with Megan. It's on Facebook. And I do live classes there every month. And I offer Zoom classes as well that are private or with groups. And we paint paintings that are something that I would like to see you and you can see me and then I can further help you. And it's more of a group thing and a nice social outing but online type thing. So yeah, no problem. Take your time. And yes, as well, if you have some creative kids in your life or have your own, feel free to check out my Painting with Megan page. You'll see it pinned to the top of my page. I have a summer kids camp coming up. That's all online. I have a Google form you can fill out your information. It's just your name, and it has all the info on there on what is included with my online camp. So it's an 8-week course. I have it's for every Monday. You get the recording as well if you couldn't make it. And it's just a nice small group with me and these children. I'm also an early child educator, so it's kind of my forte as well, with art and with kids. So it's kind of like a 2-in-1. So it's going to be really fun. And they'll get to learn all sorts of techniques and build their confidence and get to share their work with others if they would like to. And I have like a couple bonuses that I'm throwing in that is listed in the Google Doc that you'll see the link for. You just click that and you'll see all the information about it. And then I also have pictures pinned to my page of the classes too. So that way the kids can see what they will be painting. And I'm even going to do a cute like story time with painting. So I'm excited for that. So yes, if you love this, check out my page. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to get going for tonight. Thanks again, and I will see you all soon. And there it is again, and I will post a picture. Good night. Bye.